Last summer, I spent a week in a remote forest. I was in my early 30s, part of a unit that often trained in the woods. Honestly, it was supposed to be just another routine exercise, but I've never forgotten what happened. We set up our campsite on the first day. The trees towered around us, casting long shadows as night fell. We gathered around a campfire, laughing and joking. It felt normal, even nice. But as the night dragged on, something changed. The air grew thick and the laughter faded. Then I heard it, a rustling in the woods. My heart skipped a beat. I thought it was just an animal, maybe a deer. Jake joked about bears, trying to ease the tension, but I wasn't laughing. We all stared into the darkness, waiting for something. I felt uneasy, like we were being watched. Things got worse as the days went by. On the second night, I was on watch duty with Mia. It was midnight, and suddenly I heard that rustling again, and it was closer. I looked at Mia. Her eyes were wide. She heard it too. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm, but doubt crept in. Was I imagining things? I wanted to believe I was, but something didn't feel right. The nights piled on. I caught shapes moving in my peripheral vision. I think Ryan noticed them too. We began questioning ourselves. Were the whispers real? Were we going crazy? One night, we stood together, staring into the trees, waiting for something to happen. I felt the weight of fear pressing down. The last night turned into a nightmare. I was outside my tent when I thought I saw Jake standing in the shadows. I called out to him, but he didn't answer. My heart raced as I stepped closer. I wanted to see him, to feel safe. But when I looked back at the group, he was gone. Did anyone see him? I asked, panic creeping into my voice. Silence filled the air. All of us looked around, confusion etched on our faces. "Where did he go?" Sarah whispered, her voice shaking. That's when the truth settled in. Something was out there, something we couldn't see. We huddled together, hearts pounding in our chests. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to convince myself that we were just tired, that we were imagining things. But I looked at Sarah, and I knew we were wrong. We waited for dawn, eyes wide open, listening. The whispers grew louder, almost like they were mocking us. I wanted it all to end. When daylight finally broke, we packed up swiftly. None of us spoke about the nights we spent in fear. We hurried back, half glad to leave, half terrorized about what we encountered. That was supposed to be a training exercise, a chance to grow. But now I can't shake the feeling that something in those woods is still watching. The drive back was tense. We all sat in silence, stealing glances at one another. The forest felt miles away, but the unease clung to us like fog. I could feel the weight of unanswered questions in the air. Had we really experienced those nights together, or was it all in our heads? When we finally reached the base, I thought we could shake off the fear. But as I stepped out of the vehicle, a chill ran down my spine. The sunlight was blinding, yet I still felt that cold grip of unease. I kept replaying Jake's disappearance in my mind. How could he have vanished like that? I needed answers. After a quick debrief, I made my way to the barracks. My instincts kicked in, urging me to find Mia. She had always been the most grounded of us all. If anyone could put this into perspective, it was her. I found her sitting on her cot, staring at the floor. "Mia," I said softly, trying to break the tension. She looked up, her eyes tired but alert. "Did you sleep last night?" I asked, even though I knew the answer. "No, I couldn't. Too many thoughts," she said, rubbing her temples. "Did you see anything after we left the camp?" I hesitated. A part of me wanted to downplay it, to say it was just fatigue messing with us, but I couldn't lie to her. "I still hear the whispers. I thought it was just me, but—" "No," she interrupted. "I heard them too, even on the drive back. It's like they're following us." Her words sent shivers through me. The whispers had haunted our night in the woods.
How could they find us here, surrounded by walls? We sat there for a while, letting silence fill the space. I wondered if Ryan or Sarah felt the same. There was safety in numbers, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd left something behind in that forest. Suddenly, a knock on the door startled us. It was Ryan. His face was pale, and it looked like he hadn't slept. "You two need to come with me, now," he said urgently. "Why? What happened?" I asked, my heart racing. He glanced down the hallway, lowering his voice. "I found something last night in my gear. Something I shouldn't have." I exchanged worried glances with Mia. "What did you find?" Ryan hesitated, then pulled an object from his pocket. It was small and wrapped in a dirty cloth. When he unwrapped it, my breath caught. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. That's when I knew we were wrong. We weren't done with the forest yet. The question was, how deep would we go into this darkness? Ryan held out the small object in his palm, and I leaned in to get a closer look. It was a necklace. The chain was tarnished, and the pendant, a small wooden figure shaped like a person, was etched with ominous symbols. My stomach twisted as I recognized them.
They were similar to the ones we had seen carved into the trees in the woods. "Where did you find this?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Ryan swallowed hard, still looking shaken. "It fell out of my backpack when I was unpacking. I thought I had cleared everything out from last night, but this was buried deep." Mia leaned closer and examined it, her brow furrowing. "Do you think it's connected to whatever we faced out there?" "I don't know," Ryan admitted, "but the timing feels wrong. I can't shake this feeling that it was meant for one of us, like a warning." A cold sweat broke out on my forehead as I struggled to process everything. Those whispers had followed us, and now this necklace felt like evidence of something far more sinister than we had imagined. I took a step back, the weight of our shared dread settling heavily in the room. We need to tell Sarah. She deserves to know what we found. Ryan and Mia nodded in agreement, but I could see the hesitation in their eyes. What if Sarah had already felt something off? What if she had been drawn to the woods as well? I felt a thrill of panic wash over me. As I turned to leave the barracks, a sudden loud bang echoed from the far end of the hallway. We froze. It sounded like something heavy had fallen or been thrown. "Did you hear that?" Mia whispered, her eyes wide. "Yeah," Ryan murmured, clearly shaken. "Let's check it out." We moved cautiously, our footsteps echoing against the cold, hard floors as we approached the source of the noise. My heart pounded in my chest, each thump a reminder of the uncertainty hanging over us. Every shadow seemed to twist and bend ominously, as if they could come alive at any moment. Then we reached a corner where the wall met the darkened hallway. There, the door to the equipment room stood ajar, a draft blowing it slightly open. The darkness inside seemed almost palpable, oozing into the hallway like a living thing. "Ryan, you first," I urged, though my voice lacked confidence. Taking a deep breath, Ryan stepped forward and pushed the door open wider. The hinges creaked loudly, slicing through the oppressive silence. We all peered in, expecting to... But the equipment room was empty. The lights flickered overhead, but there was no sign of the commotion that had just occurred. "Nothing's here," Mia said, her voice tinged with relief and disappointment. Just as we turned to leave, something fell from the ceiling. I instinctively ducked, and when I looked up, my heart dropped. There it was again, the wooden figure. It landed softly on the floor, the symbols on it somehow more vivid than before. I picked it up, feeling a chill travel through me. "We need to get out of here," I said urgently. As we hurried away, a new realization struck me hard. Whatever was trying to warn us, it didn't want to be ignored. And now it wouldn't let us leave without a fight. The whispers returned, echoing in my mind, louder and more chaotic. I could feel their presence creeping closer. "Guys, we have to figure out what this means before it's too late." That was when I saw it. Out of the corner of my eye,
A figure stood watching us from the shadows. My breath caught in my throat. The forest wasn't done with us yet, and whatever was playing this game was about to up the stakes. We rushed down the hallway, the unease settling heavily on my chest. The whispers grew louder, swirling like a storm around us. I felt as if I was being pulled back by invisible strings, each step forward a defiance against the mounting pressure to flee. The three of us stumbled into the common area, our voices echoing against the stark walls. "What are we going to do?" Mia asked, panic lacing her words. "We can't just ignore this." I clutched the wooden figure tightly, trying to ground myself. "I think we need to talk to Sarah," I said again. "If this is a warning, she needs to be in the loop." Ryan's brow furrowed. "But what if she knows something? What if she's connected to this?" The thought twisted in my stomach. We had all felt the pull of the woods. How far did it go? I looked at my friends, their faces etched with fear. We were far beyond the point of no return. With a nod, we decided to make our way to Sarah's cabin. As we left the barracks, the lights flickered one last time, plunging us momentarily into darkness. The whispers surged like a tide, muffled around us, but sinister nonetheless. "Follow me," I said, trying to sound more confident than I felt. We navigated through the shadowy path that led toward her cabin. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the ground itself was resisting our journey. Just then, the oppressive silence around us shattered with another loud bang, this time much closer. We jumped, hearts racing. It sounded like it came from the woods just beyond the clearing. "Did you guys hear that?" Mia's voice trembled, and I could see her knuckles turn white as she gripped Ryan's arm for support. "Yeah," Ryan replied, his face pale. "It came from the direction of the trees." I hesitated. "What if it's just an animal?" I suggested, though I felt in my gut that it was anything but innocent. Ryan's gaze darted fearfully toward the tree line. "Animals don't make sounds like that. They sound angry." We exchanged uncertain glances, but the urgency to find Sarah propelled us forward. The closer we got to her cabin, the more the air felt charged, like we were stepping into a storm. Suddenly, I saw movement, a shadow flickering between the trees. A figure? I squinted, my heart racing. "Did you see that?" "What? Where?" Mia said.
"It was right there!" I pointed. The shadow had vanished into the thick brush. Before I could say anything else, we heard a low, guttural growl emanating from the woods. It sent a shiver down my spine. "Run!" I yelled, instincts taking over. We burst into a sprint, not looking back, driven by fear. What we had seen, or who we had seen, wasn't just a shadow. As we reached Sarah's cabin, my mind raced. We might have outrun something, but we were still hunted. When I knocked frantically on the door, I had no idea what awaited us inside. Then, everything went dark. The lights went out completely in the cabin, and we were enveloped in an all-consuming blackness, the growling now a low chant echoing menacingly in my mind. Something was standing outside the door, watching us. My heart pounded louder than the growling echoing outside. We huddled close together, the darkness wrapping around us like a thick blanket. "What do we do?" Mia whispered, her breath shaky. I strained to listen, trying to separate the low rumble from the cacophony of my racing thoughts. "We wait," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "We need to see if it goes away." As moments stretched into eternity, I could feel the cold creeping into my bones. A soft rustling outside pulled my attention. I caught a glimpse of a figure standing just beyond the light of the cabin. I couldn't see features, just a dark outline that seemed too still. "Did you see that?" Ryan said, his voice rising again, breaking the tension. "Something's out there!" "What if it's Sarah?" I suggested, though deep down I felt a pit of dread. Sarah would have come out by now. Instead, the figure remained, a silent sentinel just beyond our reach. Suddenly, a loud crash broke the stillness. It sounded like something big had fallen or was forced to the ground. I jumped back, hitting the wall behind me, panic surging through my veins. "We need to move," I blurted out. "We can't stay here." Mia glanced around wildly, her eyes searching for an escape. "But where? It's dark." Before I could respond, the door rattled violently. The sound echoed through the cabin, filling the dark room with intensity. Something or someone was trying to get in. My instinct screamed to run. "Back window!" Ryan shouted, pointing to an old window behind the couch. "We need to go now!" We quickly shuffled, half a step in fear, half a step in a surge of adrenaline. I pushed the window open, feeling the chill of the night air rush in. My heart raced as I turned back to the door. The rattling grew louder, more urgent. "Come on, climb out!" I urged Mia and Ryan, who were still frozen in place. With a swift glance, I held out my hand to Ryan. "Go!" Ryan scrambled out, followed by Mia. I was the last, needing one last look at
what lurked behind us, what might follow us into the night. The moment my feet hit the ground outside, a piercing scream erupted from within the cabin. I turned and my blood ran cold. The door had swung open, revealing utter darkness behind it. Then came a flash, a glimpse of something lurking in the doorway. "Run!" I shouted, pushing Mia and Ryan forward. We sprinted into the woods, each sound behind us serving as fuel for our flight. Branches scratched at our arms, but we hardly noticed. The pounding in my chest drowned out everything else. "There's a clearing ahead!" I yelled as I spotted a break in the trees. I veered toward it, hoping we could find some safety, some clarity in the chaos. But just as we burst through to the other side, a new sound froze us in our tracks. A low chanting echoed through the air, resonating with a power that chilled us to the bone. "Stay close," I commanded, but my voice barely cut through the haunting noise. That chant felt wrong, unnatural. Then, illuminated by the dim light of the moon, we noticed something shocking. In the clearing stood a circle of figures, their backs turned to us. They were dressed in robes, swaying in rhythm with the chant. I realized then, we weren't just running away. We had stumbled into something far beyond our understanding, into a meeting we should have never seen. That's when a hand shot out from the shadows behind us and grabbed my shoulder. I spun around, heart racing, the grip on my shoulder firm but not painful. I locked eyes with a man wearing a black military uniform, his expression a mix of urgency and concern. "You shouldn't be here," he hissed, pulling me closer to him. "What do you mean?" I gasped, trying to shake off the fear taking hold. "What's going on?" He didn't answer. Instead, he turned his gaze back toward the gathering. The chanting had grown louder, a chorus of almost rhythmic sounds blending into a maddening symphony. "Get your friends and follow me," he commanded, releasing me but still watching the chanting figures. "Now!" I stumbled back toward Mia and Ryan, who looked just as confused as I felt. "We need to go," I shouted, grabbing Mia's arm and pulling her toward the soldier. Ryan followed closely behind, his face a mixture of fear and disbelief. "Who is that?" Ryan asked, glancing nervously at the man. "What's happening?" The soldier didn't respond, but he motioned for us to keep moving. We moved away from the chanting, back toward the trees, where shadows loomed thick and dark. The oppressive sound from the clearing faded slightly, but still clung to the air like a bad aftertaste. "What did we just see?" Mia whispered as we hurried behind the soldier. "Do you think it was a cult or something?" "Cult or not,
"We don't want to find out more," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Fear gnawed at my insides. The wonders of our camping trip had evaporated, replaced by panic and dread. Just then, the soldier stopped abruptly, pressing a finger to his lips as he peered over his shoulder. "We need to be quiet. They're looking for you." "Who's looking for us?" Ryan whispered back, his voice strained. "Those who are chanting. They know you're not from here," the soldier warned, eyes wide. "They can sense intruders. We have to move." Before I could register what he meant, I heard a rustling behind us. My heart skipped a beat as I peered into the darkness. A silhouette emerged, moving swiftly between the trees. It was one of the robed figures, its face shrouded in shadow as it glided closer. "Run!" the soldier shouted. We tore through the underbrush, adrenaline propelling my legs as I pushed past branches and foliage. I didn't look back, knowing the threat was too close. Everything around me blurred into a haze of darkness and fear, punctuated only by the sound of our desperate breathing. The soldier led us deeper into the woods, each step feeling like a mile. My mind raced with questions. Who was he? Why were those people chanting? As we weaved through the trees, I spotted a dim light ahead. A cabin! Hope sparked within me, but it was short-lived when I noticed something else. A figure looming near the light, pacing, watching. "That's not just anyone," the soldier said sharply. "Keep moving. We can't be caught." I felt the heat of fear rise in my chest as the figure turned, and I recognized it, just as the light flecked off. "Wait!" I shouted, suddenly realizing who it was. In that instant, I was thankful for the darkness cloaking us. But then we heard a shout, one that sent a chill into my bones. "Stop right there!" The voice echoed through the trees, freezing me in my tracks. The chase was far from over. Before I could think, the soldier grabbed my arm again, pulling me back into the shadows. "We need to go now!" His voice was tight with urgency. I could feel the weight of what just happened hanging heavily in the air. Who had called out to us? Did they know we were here? My heart thundered as we stumbled deeper into the woods. Every crack of a branch beneath our feet sent fresh jolts of fear shooting through me. Mia stayed close, her hand gripping mine tightly, while Ryan was several steps behind, panting heavily. "Where are we going?" Mia whispered, trying to catch her breath. "To a safe place," the soldier replied curtly. "Just keep moving." As we pushed onward, I couldn't shake the feeling that eyes were on us. I kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting to see a group of robed figures creeping closer. I fought to keep my panic in check. The soldier looked back at us, scanning the trees, his brow furrowed in concentration. I wanted to ask him more questions, to understand the chaos we had stumbled upon, but every time I opened my mouth, the words got stuck in my throat. Suddenly, there was a loud crash to our left. We all froze, and the soldier signaled for silence. He crouched low, eyes darting around. I held my breath, straining to hear anything above the frantic beating of my heart. "We might have company," he said, barely audible. My mind raced. Company? Why would anyone come out here? A chill ran down my spine as I thought about the chanting and the robed figures, and that shout. I glanced at Ryan, whose face was ghostly pale. I could see he was thinking the same thing. Out of nowhere, another rustle echoed through the trees, followed by softer footsteps. Whoever, or whatever, was out there was close, and we were trapped. "Stay behind me," the soldier ordered, positioning himself between us and the noise. Mia and I took cover in the thick brush, barely breathing. I could almost feel my heart beat in my throat. I strained to hear what was happening. Footsteps grew louder, crunching through the leaves, and I felt the urge to bolt. Sweat dripped down my back, pooling in my jeans. Then something crashed against the trunk of a nearby tree, and all at once the world shifted. I caught a glimpse of a figure just as it stepped into the faint moonlight. A second later, I recognized the face. It was the same one I had seen by the cabin, a featureless mask covering most of it. Chills crept down my spine at the sight. The masked figure tilted its head as if sensing us,
even though we tried to stay still in the darkness. "We have to get out of here," I hissed. Before the soldier could respond, the figure turned sharply, scanning the area. I knew we couldn't stay hidden much longer. Then the figure raised its arm, nearly in a beckoning motion, and I felt dread clinch around my chest. "Run!" the soldier shouted again, breaking the paralysis. We sprinted away, just as the figure lunged toward us, shouting commands that echoed through the trees. Panic surged through me as we darted back in the direction we came, desperation fueling our escape. Just when I thought we couldn't run any further, I spotted a faint glow through the trees. "Is that the cabin?" I shouted, trying to make sense of the madness. The soldier nodded but didn't slow down. "It's our only chance. Move!" I pushed myself harder, fueled by both fear and hope, unaware of what awaited us as we closed in on the light ahead. But as we approached, I realized something was wrong. The light flickered and then went out completely. We skidded to a halt. "What just happened?" I murmured, but the only reply was the rustling of
leaves and the sound of our heavy breathing. "Let's find out," the soldier said, approaching the darkness cautiously. But there, amidst the shadows, I sensed something else lurking, something that chilled me deeper than the night around us. I didn't want to move closer. The air felt charged, thick with the promise of a new danger. My mind screamed for me to turn back, but the soldier had already taken the lead. I could see the outline of the cabin now, but it appeared even more daunting in the dark. "What happened to the light?" Mia whispered, her voice trembling. "I don't know," I replied, my stomach twisting. It felt wrong. The cabin was supposed to be our sanctuary, but instead it loomed like a predator in the night. The soldier pushed the door open cautiously, the creak of the hinges loud in the eerie silence. I followed behind, glancing over my shoulder. I half expected the masked figure to emerge from the woods. Instead, we were met only by shadows. Inside, the cabin was less inviting than I remembered. The air had a musty smell, and the furniture was covered in dust. Frantically, I searched the corners, half expecting to see someone lurking, but it was empty. "We need to secure the door," the soldier instructed, and Ryan quickly moved to help him. My heart raced as I took a step deeper into the cabin. The walls felt like they were closing in. There was no safety here. I could still hear the echo of that command from the figure, its voice slicing through the night like a knife. "Mia, stay close," I said softly, edging toward a window. I peered outside, trying to catch a glimpse of whatever pursued us. "What do you think they want?" Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," I admitted, trying to steady my breath. "But I think they're looking for us." The cabin creaked again, sending a shiver down my spine. Just then, I heard a soft thud against the door, the kind that made my blood run cold. I turned my gaze toward the sound, and Ryan moved cautiously back to the window. "I swear I saw something out there," he said, his eyes wide. "What?" I asked, already feeling a lump form in my throat. "I don't know. A shape, moving. It was fast." His voice quivered. The soldier cursed under his breath. "We need to fortify this place and find a way to communicate. Get a signal out if we can." He began searching through drawers, tossing aside anything that wasn't useful. I watched as he rifled through some papers, his expression darkening with each passing second. There has to be something here. We can't be the only ones to have been trapped out here. Just then, something heavy slammed against the door, rattling the walls. I gasped, stumbling backward. We all froze, the air thick with fear. "That was too loud," the soldier hissed. "They know we're here." In here, now. My heart sank. No one had prepared us for this. I fought back tears. We were out of options. I felt the walls closing in, sweat slicking my palms. "Look!" Mia cried, pointing to a corner of the room. "What's that?" I turned my head just in time to see a dark figure slip through the shadows.
My breath caught in my throat as the silhouette drew closer. I wanted to scream, but the noise was stuck in my chest. "Get ready," the soldier ordered, positioning himself in front of us. And then, from the depths of the darkness, a voice emerged. It was low and distorted, echoing through the cabin like a haunting melody. "You shouldn't have come here." I knew then we were not alone, and whatever had found us would not let us leave. The air thickened, and my heart raced as the voice faded. In that moment, time stood still. The soldier's grip tightened on the handle of his weapon, and Ryan's expression turned ghostly pale. Mia clung to my arm, her fingers digging in. "What do we do?" she whispered, her eyes wide. The soldier didn't answer. Instead, he took a cautious step forward, his gun raised. "Show yourself." He sounded stronger than I felt, but I could see uncertainty etched on his face. Nothing moved. Silence enveloped us like a shroud. I held my breath, waiting for some sign, some proof that we were in the clutches of something sinister. Just as the tension peaked, I caught another shape slipping just beyond the window. My heart pounded louder as I squinted into the darkness. I started, but before I could finish my thought, the door shook violently again. "Help me barricade it," the soldier yelled at Ryan, who nodded and rushed to his side. Mia and I joined them, dragging a wooden table across the threshold. I could feel the wood splinter, and the whole cabin vibrated with the force of whatever was outside. My mind raced. We had to hold them off. We had to find a way to escape this trap. "That voice, it said we shouldn't have come here," I muttered, more to myself than anyone else. The chill of those words wrapped tightly around my heart. The soldier cursed again as they struggled to hold the barricade in place. "Keep it steady!" But then, something changed. A shuffling noise crept toward the other side of the cabin, and the sharp sound of glass breaking echoed through the night. A dark figure emerged through a shattered window, agile and quick, landing silently on the floor. I screamed and pushed Mia behind me, but the soldier was already there, pointing his weapon at the intruder. "Who are you? What do you want?" The figure stood still, an unsettled grin twisting across its face, eyes glinting with malicious intent. "You shouldn't have come here," it mocked, mimicking the disembodied voice that had warned us. I shivered. The figure didn't look like the masked figure we had seen in the woods, but it wasn't any less terrifying. There was something otherworldly about this presence. It stepped closer, and time felt like it was slowing down. Then, without warning, the lights flickered back to life in a harsh strobe, illuminating the cabin and casting strange shadows against the walls. For a heartbeat, I saw every detail, the cracks in the wood, the dust swirling in the artificial light, and the twisted expression of terror on Mia's face. "Get down," the soldier shouted, and we dropped as instinct took over. The figure lunged forward, but the soldier fired. The shot echoed, but instead of sound, it felt like a pulse through the cabin. As the smoke began to clear, I quickly glanced up to see, and that's when I saw it. A shimmer surrounding the figure, like a veil bending the light. My heart sank. It wasn't just a man. With a piercing scream, Mia covered her mouth. The figure dissolved into thin air, leaving nothing but the crackling sound of energy where it stood moments before. Panic coursed through me. "What was that?" I stammered, struggling to process the impossible sight. The soldier gritted his teeth, still on edge, but I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. "Whatever it is, it knows we're here. We need to find a weapon, something we can use." As we scrambled to our feet, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were just beginning to understand the horror that had settled in around us. And whatever had come for us, it wasn't finished yet. We tore through the cabin, searching for anything that could provide protection. My heart raced against the mounting dread. Each second felt like an eternity. Mia and Ryan rifled through drawers while the soldier moved methodically, inspecting hooks and nails. "I found a baseball bat," Ryan exclaimed, brandishing it triumphantly. "That'll have to do, right?" "It's better than nothing," I replied, trying to maintain a flicker of hope. The soldier stayed focused, still searching. The cabin felt increasingly hostile, the atmosphere thick with a dread I struggled to ignore. I caught a glimpse of the shattered window, the remnants of glass reflecting flashes of light like sharp memories. I couldn't shake the image of that figure, its shifting form haunting me. "Over here," the soldier called, drawing us to an old chest by the fireplace. With a few swift motions, he forced it open, revealing an array of crude tools. "This could work," he muttered, pulling out a rusted axe. "Will that even help us?" I asked, skepticism creeping in. "We may not have a choice," he snapped, tension making his voice sharp. I shivered, feeling the sense of time slipping through my fingers. We hurriedly grabbed supplies. Ryan held the bat tightly in one hand, while I carried a split log for backup, and the soldier gripped the axe like it was a lifeline. The faint echoes of the chanting wafted
Back to us, tugging at our subconscious. Whatever had found us wasn't far off. "Stay sharp," the soldier ordered, each word heavy with urgency. We pressed deeper into the cabin, unwilling to let fear immobilize us. We crept toward another door at the back, hoping it might lead us away from the chaos. The moment I touched the doorknob, a tremor of cold manifested, seeping into my bones. I glanced back at Ryan and Mia. A mutual understanding passed between us. We all felt it, the weight of the unknown pressing down. Holding my breath, I opened the door, bracing for whatever came next. The room beyond was dark and cramped, the air stifling. It smelled of mildew and decay. "How do we even know it's safe?" Mia whispered as the door creaked open wider. "Stay together," the soldier instructed, stepping through the threshold first. "We'll find another way out of this madness." As we moved inside, the door slammed shut behind us, plunging us deeper into darkness. A burst of panic flared, but the soldier quickly shone a flashlight around the room, revealing shelves lined with old papers and tools. "Look!" he exclaimed, pointing the beam toward a window. It was small and barred, but felt like our only chance, a weak glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Before we could react, that same guttural growl erupted from outside the door. We froze as the sound resonated through the walls, rattling our cores. "They're here!" Ryan shouted, fear spilling into every syllable. The soldier moved to block the door, the axe raised, preparing for whatever might come in. "Get ready." Just then, the chanting grew louder, twisting around us, erupting into a cacophony of sound. The atmosphere hummed with unbridled energy, an eerie sensation that clawed at the edges of my sanity. My heart raced with every beat, every pulse intensely aware of the unseen presence just outside. "Do you think it was a mistake to come here?" Mia asked, her voice trembling. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but whatever's out there." The soldier swung the axe against the door with a heavy thud, just as something pounded from outside. "This isn't going to hold." Panic surged again, and I felt the impulse to flee, to run right out into the night. But a sense of foreboding kept me rooted to the spot. The door rattled violently, and I saw splinters erupt where the pressure met the wood. "Climb out the window," the soldier ordered, "now!" With fear coursing through me, I grasped the opening, scrambling toward the barred glass. I could already see movement outside, a dark outline against the faint light creeping through the door's gaps. "Mia, move!" I turned to help her, but stopped short. She was frozen, eyes wide with terror. "I can't! Get out!" I yelled, reaching for her. With a surge of adrenaline, she snapped back to reality and scrambled toward the window. Ryan followed closely behind. Together we pushed, my heart racing as Ryan wedged himself through. Just as Mia and I were about to climb out, the door exploded inward. My breath caught as the figure emerged, shrouded in darkness. It stood there, still and ominous. The air crackled in its presence, the whispering chorus rising in intensity. "Go!" the soldier cried, shoving Mia forward through the window. I followed, not daring to look back.
We tumbled out into the chill of the night, landing hard on the forest floor. The air felt electric, charged with an energy I couldn't explain. I scrambled to my feet, pulling Mia with me. "This way," I urged, darting between the trees, the sounds of chaos still ringing in my ears. But as we fled, glances were exchanged. Was the soldier behind us? The whispers merged into one sound. Panic surged to a peak. What was real? What was imagined? I could feel the forest surrounding us, dark and alive. Would we ever escape this madness? I didn't want answers. I just wanted to survive. But nothing felt certain anymore. In the depths of that forest, where shadowy figures loomed and laughter turned to whispers, the lines between reality and nightmare blurred. And the deeper we ran, the less I was sure we could escape the dark places that awaited us.